and on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
We see them in textbooks, these iconic images: sand, ramps, legions of workers straining under the desert sun. We're told they built the pyramids, stone by colossal stone, with nothing but muscle, rope, and wood. But what if that story, the one we've accepted for centuries, is wrong? What if it's not just improbable, but physically, demonstrably impossible? We're not talking about moving small stones here. We're talking about blocks weighing as much as 1,000 tons, transported hundreds of miles, hoisted hundreds of feet into the air. The Colossi of Memnon, 720 tons each, from a quarry near Cairo. Think about that. That's the weight of a modern building. How were they moved over 400 miles? Or this, the shattered remains of a statue that once weighed over 1,000 tons. A single piece of granite. It would take the largest truck, an engineering marvel of today, to even think about moving it. The official story crumbles under its own weight. They say sleds, but wood would pulverize under that pressure. They say boats. But no ancient vessel could handle that load, even if they could sail against the current. So what are we left with? Lost technology? A forgotten cataclysm? A civilization far more advanced than we ever imagined, predating even the pharaohs? The stones themselves whisper a different story. Saw marks, drill holes that defy explanation, evidence of a precision that shouldn't exist. We think we know our history, but the truth is etched in these silent giants, a mystery that challenges everything we believe. They stand as a testament not just to human ingenuity, but perhaps to something far more profound. They are a challenge, asking us one very important question. What do we really know?
We're taught that ancient Egyptians built the pyramids with ramps and sledges. But what if I told you that the accepted story is not only improbable, but potentially impossible? What if the truth is far stranger, hinting at lost technologies and a history more complex than we ever imagined? We're not just talking about moving a few big rocks. We're talking about stones weighing up to 1,000 tons, 2 million pounds, transported hundreds of miles and hoisted hundreds of feet in the air. And the Egyptians? They conveniently left us zero explanation. No blueprints, no diagrams, nothing. Let's start with the Great Pyramid of Giza. Inside, you'll find 70-80-ton granite blocks, sourced from the Aswan quarry, over 500 miles away. We're talking about stones heavier than a modern Abrams tank, used not just for the base, but in the King's Chamber and the Grand Gallery, hundreds of feet above the ground. The Diary of Mira, a 4,500-year-old papyrus, does describe limestone transport by boat, but these were for smaller blocks and a much shorter distance. It is a far cry from proving the movement of these much larger granite stones. Even Herodotus, the father of history, who visited Egypt centuries later, only describes the use of levers for lifting stones to build the pyramid, a totally implausible explanation, as you will soon see. But Giza's giants are dwarfed by other enigmas. Enter the Colossi of Memnon in Luxor, two seated statues, each carved from a single piece of quartzite, weighing a mind-boggling 720 tons each. They stand over 60 feet tall. You have to see them in person to grasp their immensity. Their pedestals alone weigh hundreds of tons. Now, here's where it gets even weirder. These statues originally came from a quarry near Cairo, almost 400 miles away by road. How did they get to Luxor? Modern Egyptologists point to the Nile, but there's a glaring problem. No evidence exists of any ancient Egyptian vessel capable of carrying even a fraction of that weight. Plus, they would have had to sail against the Nile's current. The idea that these were dragged on wooden sleds is equally absurd. The sheer weight would have crushed the wood and embedded it into the very earth. We're talking about forces that defy our understanding of basic physics, especially with Bronze Age technology. This starts us down the path of questioning. Did they have help from technology that has been lost to time? Or is the timeline of these creations off, created by a civilization long before the dynastic Egyptians that possessed advanced knowledge? But wait, it gets even crazier. In the Ramesseum, we find the shattered remains of a statue that once weighed an estimated 1,000 tons. A single piece of granite, transported at least 115 miles from Aswan. This single statue is double the maximum payload of the Belaz 75710, the world's largest ultra-class haul truck, a modern marvel of engineering that can barely carry 496 tons. It becomes harder to deny that we are missing a huge piece of the puzzle when trying to understand how these statues were moved and created. This statue, by the way, was the inspiration for Percy Bysshe Shelley's famous poem Ozymandias, a meditation on the ephemeral nature of power. Ironically, the statue's destruction is as mysterious as its creation. What force could have shattered this 1,000-ton monolith? It was seated, making a simple toppling unlikely. Was it a catastrophic earthquake? Sabotage on a scale we can't comprehend? Or evidence of a forgotten cataclysm, as proposed by alternative historians like Graham Hancock, who argue for a lost advanced civilization predating the dynastic Egyptians? They point to the precision and scale of these monuments as evidence that they were built by a civilization with technology far beyond what we know of Bronze Age Egypt. Let's bring this back to the present. In 2012, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art undertook a project called Levitated Mass. They moved a 340-ton granite boulder 106 miles. It required a custom-built trailer, 206 feet long, with 196 wheels. It took 11 nights, moving at a snail's pace, and cost a staggering $10 million. This was hailed as an engineering feat, yet it involved a stone less than half the weight of the Colossi of Memnon, which were moved much farther, and a mere third the weight of the Ramesseum statue. Now, mainstream Egyptology often depicts armies of workers dragging stones on sleds, lubricated by water or oil. But these depictions are often based on much smaller stones, like the 64-ton statue shown in one wall carving, being pulled a very short distance, nowhere near the scale we're discussing. Could these illustrations be artistic representations of much earlier techniques, misinterpreted or even deliberately downplayed by later pharaohs to enhance their own achievements? It's worth noting that many pharaohs were known to usurp and repurpose earlier monuments, claiming them as their own. The evidence suggests something extraordinary was at play. Some researchers, like Christopher Dunn, author of Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, propose that the Egyptians possessed advanced machining tools, capable of precision cuts and movements far beyond what's possible with copper chisels and stone hammers. He points to evidence of saw marks and drill holes that suggest the use of high-speed tools. Could they have harnessed a form of energy we haven't rediscovered? Some theorize about acoustic levitation or other lost technologies, ideas often dismissed as pseudoscience, but perhaps deserving a second look given the sheer impossibility of the conventional explanations. It's not hard to start questioning everything we think we know about ancient Egypt when faced with these facts. Consider also the orientation of the pyramids. They are aligned with astonishing precision to the cardinal directions, a feat that would have required advanced surveying and astronomical knowledge. Some researchers, like Robert Bovell, have even proposed a correlation between the layout of the Giza pyramids and the constellation of Orion, suggesting a level of celestial planning that defies our understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. We like to think we have a handle on the past, that our history books tell a complete and accurate story. But the stones of Egypt whisper a different tale, one of forgotten knowledge, advanced capabilities, and perhaps a civilization lost to time. It is in our best interest to not outright dismiss alternative theories. As Shelley wrote in Ozymandias, "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." Perhaps the despair comes not from the might of Ozymandias, but from the realization that we are still utterly clueless about how these works were accomplished. The mystery remains, etched in stone, a challenge to our understanding of the past and a tantalizing hint of a history far more profound than we ever dared to imagine.